again and welcome. The program continues. Well, when we talk about Obaze, you're talking about a diplomat, you're talking about a politician. And he is my guest, as I've said in the prologue. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Now, why do you want to be governor of Anambra State?
Because I believe I can add value to the people of my state, because I think I have the competitive advantage in terms of background and experience and exposure to add value. And because I've had experience in the federal government, I've had experience in the international system, and I've served as Secretary to the State Government in Anambra, both under the former governor, Governor Peter Obi, and for some time under the incumbent governor. And I think in those instances, the people of Anambra recognized the value I added to the process. I've always been in the background, supporting both leaders. I think I'm in a position to do that constructively, efficiently, and effectively as the leader.
Right. What are these things? To be specific, do you think you'll come and do differently?
Governance is about service and about leadership. But leadership has to be purposeful. It has to be adaptive. You do a survey and analysis of what the state needs. You understand the needs, critical needs of the people in the context of the federation. And in the present, in the immediate terms, in the medium term, and in the long term, and you worked to that. Governance is not a one-off event, it's a process. And if you understand the process, then you're able to pool all the resources, both human and material, to serve your people more efficiently. Everybody brings to the table their own experience in terms of leadership. And in my own particular case, I am looking at how to improve the quality of life of our people, starting with the human capital development, making education our primary premise for advancement of Anambra State. We were once ranked 26 in the nation in the national exam and in the WAEC exam and NECO exam. We pulled through that to become #1 in the country. As I speak to you, we've fallen back to the #6 and the #7 position. That means something has gone wrong somewhere. We need to effectively harness our resources, finance our education in such a way that it is effective. My platform is that I should be able to offer every child from kindergarten to JS2 free education and take them off the streets. This country is renowned to have 10.5 million people out of school children, and most of them are in the southeast, including my own state. It shouldn't be. Every child should be able to have affordable education and have access to it. And if that is all government is able to do to prepare that child for a life journey, I think that would have been one singular contribution I can make, because it has other implications if they are not in school. The so-called cultism and the rascality that goes on, we can breach all that by making sure they stay in school. So human capital development is very important to me. It's fundamental in terms of what we need to do. Also, we need to improve the security. The security that we enjoy today is laid on the basic foundation that was put in place when I was SSG. When this governor came in, the first thing we did, based on the briefing I gave to him, was to have a security summit. And he has since built on that, but I think it can still be improved upon. And one thing is to implement a template that you've inherited from somebody else. Another thing is to implement a template that you have helped design, and you know the nuts and the bolts. So there are areas where we can do better in terms of comparative leadership, and also being adaptive in terms of a leadership to the realities on the ground.
Will you want to say probably your template is not being followed to the letter?
Well, I have been in government, and I know that the template that is in place, I was instrumental to most of it, whether it's in the previous administration or his administration. And yes, you can say that, but of course, that will be subject to debate in an era of politics.
Okay. What is your relationship with former Governor Peter Obi?
Very cordial, very cordial. It's a relationship that runs between the two families, because we all lived in the same town in Onitsha, and has continued. As I have said somewhere else, he was coming into school, secondary school, as I was leaving. But beyond that, a very cordial relationship, and the fact that he found me sufficiently good to bring me here, asked me to come and help his last 2 years in office. And I considered it took a while to come, and I did. And I think the last 2 years of the Peter Obi administration, I added great value. And so did I, and I did likewise in the first 15 months of Governor Obiano's administration when I was SSG.
Now, the primary had come and gone. There are still some comments about that, but that's not where I'm going now. Did Peter Obi actually play the role of godfather by influencing your coming out as the candidate?
You will have to ask Peter Obi that question. I think the notion of godfather has assumed a negative connotation, and it's not supposed to be. Of course, unless you're playing the movies. In the church, there's godfather. But I want to take it from this point. Everybody who's in politics, everybody who's in any profession would ordinarily have a mentor. I've had people who have mentored me. I have people who have mentored. I am basically a politician by default. I'm a career diplomat, I'm a technocrat, and that's what I've done most of my life. I have background in conflict resolution and mediation, which I put to good use. And I'm fairly, without being modest, a good administrator. And that's one aspect of it. If you have that capacity, then you have the capacity to influence the way things are done and done properly. There are people in government, there are people who are in politics, but that is not where it ends. I don't get involved in anything unless I can add value. And I have always tried to add value, and it's because I'm able to add value and that ability is recognized. That's why I was brought back here to be Secretary of State, and I was asked to stay with the Obiano administration, even though at that point I wanted to go and do other things. The notion that somebody plays godfather to you, when I started this process, there were a lot of people who I consulted, some of them far older than me, some of them politicians, some of them clergy, some of them academia. And if I were to make it public that I've consulted those people and they gave their blessing or their support, and some might not have been very forthcoming in their support, would that make any of them my godfather? And I think this is an era where, because of the nature of politics and because we're campaigning, people want to attach a stereotype to you. They want to attach labels to you. Anybody that knows me well enough, including Governor Peter Obi, including Governor Peter Obiano, understand that I'm a very fairly strong, independently minded person. So none of them would browbeat me. And those who label me godfather, a godson, or a stooge, know that in government I was very firm in terms of policy and implementation. I'm not anybody's stooge, far from it.
Good. Right. I will not ask you if the primary was free, fair, clean. But then ifeanyi is crying foul. How do you react to that?
You know, ifeanyi is my dear friend. We ran into each other yesterday at the television station. We embraced, we shook hands. I have no animosity towards anybody, not even him, even under the present circumstances. In a democracy, if you feel that you've been aggrieved, you have the right to seek redress. And I don't envy him the right to seek redress in any which way he finds necessary. In terms of the primary and in terms of the process, I have expressed before, and I will do that again here, full confidence in the people who were brought out to conduct the primary. You must put the primary in its proper context for our party, PDP, and the crisis of leadership it went through for several years that ended when the Supreme Court gave a ruling in July. And it was against that backdrop that we went into a primaries. That backdrop, that crisis was in place when you had the Doe elections, and we know the consequences for our party. It was in place when we had the Ondo election. We know the consequences for our party. When I decided to run, there were factions, but I worked very hard on both sides of the faction, telling them there was one PDP, one flag, one certificate, and indeed there ought to be one leadership. So at the local, ward level, state level, I was interacting with everybody. And at the national level, and I did say to my colleagues and my friends in the party that if I were to become the candidate, I don't want to go to a battle with a divided party. I wanted everybody on board, and I've worked hard on that. But be that as it may, the primary yielded the perception from certain quarters that it was not free and fair. Yes, we're human. Our system is not perfect. As humans, we're not perfect. But even against that imperfection, we can find value, we can find common ground on which to rally. The beauty of democracy is that you submit yourself to electioneering, people vote for you. If you win, you show magnanimity. If you lose, you also show magnanimity in congratulating the winner, and you move on till another time. I don't understand the circumstances under which the present case, there seems to be so much agitation. I've been told the agitation is not about me. I have not been accused directly of being involved in what is perceived to be illegal. I understand that the agitation is about the process. But let us also remember that the party had wagered everything it had by convincing two standing governors, incumbents in office, to play this role, do the heavy lifting of midwifering this the process, yes. Both for the three-man delegate, His Excellency Governor Wike and His Excellency Governor Fayose. And it seems to me that even if there were grievances, this could have been addressed in the way that shows confidence in those gentlemen and confidence in the leadership. The way it's been approached now seems to be an attempt to repudiate the entire system, both the individuals and the people who had entrusted them the responsibility of the office. I hope we can find common ground. I'm fully committed to reconciliation. I've reached out to every aspirant in this process, and I've continued to do that, and I've asked other people to do the same so that we move forward to the election on November 18th.
Yes, I was actually coming to ask you that. How are you reaching out to other aspirants?
No, I have. I've gone to their house. I've been to Ifeanyi's boss house, spent a lot of hours with him. I've been in Abuja, where we had a senior member of the party sit with us for more than 5 hours talking. I have spoken to him on the phone. I've had people reach out to him. I don't have a personal issue with Ifeanyi, and my understanding is he has no personal issues with me. He seems offended by the process, and I think the process has run its course internally in terms of the petitions, in terms of that went to the National Caretaker Committee, and the committee, in its wisdom, has made its ruling. I would think that that should be the end of the case, but if he seems to want to go beyond that, I cannot prejudge. It would be presumptuous of me to begin to speculate as to why he's doing that, but I know it does not sit very well with some members of the party. And I also know that people have reached out to him. It's just an unfortunate situation, and I thought this would have been resolved much more amicably so that we can go to the election in Anambra State as one family.
Now, in Anambra State, ahead of the November 18 election, APGA seems to have the advantage of incumbency. APC seems to have the advantage of the center. Where is PDP in all of this, considering even the prolonged legal tussle?
PDP is a fairly entrenched party in Anambra State. It has, in the last 12 years when it's been out of power in Anambra State, been the dominant opposition party in Anambra State. It has a large following, it has a large structure in place, and but of course, when you don't have a governor in the government house, that has its downside. But PDP is resurging nationally and in the state, and I think Anambra State will present the test case for the party after it lost the elections, national elections in 2015. So, yes, despite the power of incumbency, despite the federal might, but when you come to the actuality of it all in APGA and the incumbent governor, who, by the way, was 1 year my junior in school. I have no personal grievances against him. He's my friend. I hope he feels the same way about me. But we differ on matters of principle and matters of policy. Anambra State is greater than him, and Anambra State is greater than Obaze, and indeed greater than anybody who's been the ruler of the state. There's a lot of vested interest in our children, in our posterity, that we must protect at this point. So we must work hard for our people, the children that are growing up and the children that are yet unborn. And that's my commitment, and that's my point of departure with the present administration. There's a lot that needs to be done that is not being done in terms of governance, regardless of what people say. And those are the areas we must address, and address aggressively. I think we will be failing our responsibilities if we all fold our hands and feel comfortable that things are going okay because some people say so. The beauty of democracy is that people should submit themselves to the test of periodic and genuine election. Every 4 years, there were people who were saying that there was no vacancy in Anambra State, and I disagree with them. The Constitution says there's vacancy every 4 years. If you're the incumbent, you must resubmit yourself to the electorate. And the beauty of it is that if you're the incumbent, you must show the people what you have accomplished from point A to point B. It is on the basis of what you have accomplished that the people will express confidence to re-elect you. For those of us who are aspiring for the first time to be, we don't have a track record. What we have is a promise of what we want to do for the people, different from what is being done right now. And I think that's the premise of this campaign, and that's the premise on which I'm running it. I have insisted that this campaign for me would be issues-based, not personalities. There's a lot of denigration going out of my personality and of people who are running, people who are associated with me, including the former governor. And I think it is wrong. We're setting the wrong example for our people. I would not, and I've told my staff, anybody who goes negative will be fired from my campaign team. I'm not going to be stooped that low because I'm running for governorship. It's not worth it. I think I've earned the right to make that decision as a person and to lead by example.
All right. Before you go, we'll give you about a minute to talk to the electorate and the people of Anambra State.
Well, the people of Anambra State, my dear people, you know who I am. You know that I've worked for you and I've served. I'm here to serve our people. The challenges that we face are well known. They range from education, they range from economy, they range to our infrastructure, which is a bad state. We need to fix them. You need somebody who is intrusively capable of analyzing this to pursue a government that is result-oriented. Our budget must be transparent, our expenses must be transparent, and our resources put to good use for our people. Beyond that, we will just be another government elected to do something else. My promise to you is that you campaign for me, you work for me, you elect me, and give me opportunity to serve you, not to lead you. Then I will be able to deliver on the promise which we undertook when we campaigned to bring the governorship to the Northern Senatorial Zone 4 years ago. We're given an 8-year mandate. 4 of those years are all but wasted. We need to redeem that situation in the next 4 years and work hard in such a way that both in education, economy, and development and infrastructure, in technology, which our children need to be globally competitive, that will make them the best they can be within the context of the Nigerian nation. We need the next 4 years to do that, and you need the leader whose hand is on the wheels as he runs the state's mechanism for governance. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming on to the program.
Thank you.
Nice having you.
Thank you.